Good morning, everybody. Actually, good afternoon. It's 12:15 on Friday, October 26th, and this is PPID's first personal injury live dialogue slash interview slash informational video. And in case you don't know who I am, my name is Adam Handler. I'm a partner of Pollack, DeCicco, and the head of the personal injury department. We have lots of different things to discuss over the next few weeks, few months, but I think we should start with one of the most basic questions that I'm asked when a client comes in for the first time. What's that question? What do you think it is? Anybody have any idea what they think the most popular question is?
What's the value of my case?
Right. What's my case worth? They usually ask, how long does my case take and what's my case worth? And the short answer is, I don't know. But the real answer is that we can figure it out, and this is what we do. Cases are based on two things. Number one, liability and damage. Number two, damages. So there's two parts to every case: how the accident happened and what happened to you as a result of the accident. Obviously, in cases in which you have more catastrophic injuries, such as surgeries, paralysis, and even death, those cases have a higher settlement and verdict value than cases in which you received, let's say, a whiplash injury or a broken pinky toe or an ER visit, and that's it. Also, we have to determine how the accident happened, who's at fault. If the defendant, meaning the person that caused the injury, was completely at fault, such as a situation if you were stopped at a red light and you were rear-ended, then your case is worth more money than if you had a yellow light and they had a green, a red light, and now all of a sudden there's a dispute as to who had the right of way. So let's get down to it. What's my case worth? The first analysis we need to figure out after we determine who's at fault and what the injury is. And remember, we don't always know exactly what the injury and the treatment is. You can come in to my office a few days after an accident with a sore back, and 2 months later you can wind up with a serious spinal surgery or require pain management injections. You can also come into my office with a sore back and 2 weeks later tell me, Mr. Handler, I'm feeling much better. And that's obviously something that we take into consideration when trying to resolve your case in favor of you. The overall analysis that we need to figure out, no matter who's at fault and what your injury is how much insurance coverage there is. You know, a lot of times people will come in getting in an accident with, let's say, a tractor trailer or a FedEx truck or another big entity that caused the accident. We know that those situations dictate that there will be sufficient insurance on that end. Usually tractor trailers in the state of New York, as required by federal law, are required to have $5 million of coverage. So you can get an accident with a truck and we know we have the potential to go after $5 million. You can have a job place accident in which something falls on you or you fall off something or you're injured because of an otherwise unsafe work condition. We know that these large construction jobs usually have large amounts of insurance to cover catastrophic losses, so we know we have a good chance of receiving full compensation. But what happens in those situations in which you're rear-ended by somebody, there's a terrible impact and you have an injury, and the person that caused the accident only has the state minimum of insurance, which is $25,000. New York law only requires drivers of automobiles to carry a minimum insurance of $25,000. That means if you're in an accident and you have, let's say, a bad hair day as a result of the accident, or you're in an accident and you have an amputated leg in that accident, and the person that hit you only had $25,000 of insurance, well, we've got a problem, because the maximum we can collect from that insurance company is the amount of the policy. People say to me all the time, well, it's Geico, it's Allstate, it's Progressive, they've got lots of money, why can't we get more of it? It's only what the policy holder had with the insurance company. Now, we can of course go after the individual and their assets, but usually when there's situations where somebody has minimum insurance, there's not much of assets that they're looking to protect. So generally speaking, lower insurance policies don't really end up in large settlements because the insurance is low and usually the person doesn't have assets to satisfy a judgment. And in those cases, unfortunately, we're required to take the minimum and move on. There are exceptions to that, of course, and this is relating only to car accidents in which you can have underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage, meaning if somebody hits you with minimal insurance and you have proper insurance, your insurance company then will kick in and pay the difference between what the defendant is able to pay through the minimal policy and what your insurance policy is. So you can get potentially get $25,000 from the car that hit you, and then maybe an additional $75,000 or $225,000 or $275,000 from your insurance company, so long as you have that coverage. So everybody out there that drives an automobile in the state of New York and New Jersey, I implore you, after watching this video, take a look at your coverages. Take a look at what your liability coverage is, meaning if God forbid you cause an accident, what you will be covered by your insurance company for. And if you own a home or if you have a good job and assets to protect and you only have minimal insurance, you may want to rethink that, because that could lead to a possible financial exposure on your end. The second thing I think everybody should look at is what's that SUM, or that underinsurance policy. You could be driving around with not even knowing this, because the insurance companies really don't push it too hard for good reason, because they don't want to pay out at the end for this additional coverage. And it's only a few dollars a month more to have that protection for you and your family. God forbid you're ever in an accident, and moreover, God forbid you're ever in an accident with somebody that has minimal insurance. So those are all things that go into account, with what's my case worth. And then, it ranges from the venue where the case is brought, meaning there are some counties in the state of New York which generally have, or on average have, higher verdicts and higher settlement values. And then there's counties in the state of New York, maybe more conservative counties, that have lower verdict and settlement values. So you can have, for example, a case in which, in Brooklyn, a jury would award you $500,000, but let's say in Nassau County or Westchester or upstate, a jury may award you $5,000. It's very subjective, and you really, in that regard, play towards the community, play towards the people, because juries are people, and obviously, and they all have preconceived notions as to what things in life are worth. And maybe in some communities a broken arm is not worth a lot. In some communities it is. Some communities going after a landlord is not frowned upon. In some communities going after a landlord is frowned upon, because half the community could be landlords themselves. So many different factors to consider. The most important thing that you should understand is you don't need to worry about it. We as attorneys have to worry about it. And as your attorney, we will walk you through the entire process as to, what my case is worth, what are some things that can increase the value of the case, what are some things that could decrease the value of your case. For example, you can have a terrible injury and you're on Facebook showing that you're doing all this crazy stuff, skydiving, taking vacations, and you're also telling people that you can't do the things you used to do. Well, that's something that could decrease the value of your case. So social media now these days comes in big play of it. So there's a lot of different things that we could talk about with how we factor in case value, but the most important thing to know out of all this, again, is that we as experienced attorneys know what the value of the case is. We know when to hold them, when to fold them, when the offer is fair and when the offer is not. So as long as you have trust in us and faith in what we're doing here, you hopefully will join the thousands of other people that have had successful results as clients of this firm. We can never guarantee a successful result in every future case, but we can tell you that nobody's going to fight harder for you to make sure that you get everything you're entitled to make it one of those high-value cases if, God forbid, your injury dictates it. So please check out my website, thecasehandler.com. Feel free to give our office a call, 212-233-8100, or come stop by 225 Broadway on the 3rd floor, and we'll let you know how we can help you, and we look forward to servicing you and all your family's needs, legal needs, immigration, criminal defense, real estate, Personal injury. You got a problem, we got the answer. Stay tuned to the next one, and thanks for listening to us today.